Welcome everyone to the Sim Racing Show, your one-stop shop for all of the news in sim racing around the world. I've got you covered in this video. We're going to talk about updates to the games. We're going to talk about brand new sim racing games. We're going to talk about features coming to sim racing games. We're going to talk about elements of sim racing that you might not know about. And I'm going to start with one that you might not know about, which is actually American Truck Simulator. They are adding new DLC in the form of Iowa. I have been playing American Truck Simulator and really enjoying it. I've been doing it in Texas. I don't know how many of you guys and girls watching are also doing stuff like Truck Simulator. I've been doing it on my big Moser wheel. Iowa's coming. I've never been to Iowa in real life, and I probably will enjoy driving it in Truck Simulator. So I'd just like to know whether you are interested in these sort of other aspects of simulation driving. Like they have like sort of taxi simulators now, all sorts of other sort of police driving simulators, all this other stuff. But anyway, American Truck Simulator, Iowa's coming. They just keep printing money on that game because obviously people love it. And I want to talk about bikes as well. So we are going to get onto ACC and new sim racing games and everything, but I want to talk about bikes. So new tracks and bikes are arriving in Track Day R. I don't know a lot about Track Day R, but luckily my editor does. It's from Mad Cow. They're adding 2 new tracks and the HSME electric motorcycle. And the 2 tracks are, well, one is St. Denis, which has an asphalt and supermoto layout, and one is X Trial that I think has a load of jumps and whatnot. But motorcycle racing, again, an element of sort of sim racing. I've been sent codes to MotoGP 24, which I haven't played yet, but you guys and girls want to know my thoughts, I can play that. I really want to do Ride, I want to do the TT, I want to do the Nordschleife on the bike, and I really want to get my hands on that VR Superbike game on the Meta Quest, where it just sounds like it's guaranteed to make you throw up. But I relish that challenge. I really want to get on that. So motorcycle simulators, as someone who very rarely rides a motorcycle, I'm very interested to knowing how they feel and getting into that. Let me know. Now we're going to get onto a new sim here that I've slated and mocked for ages now, and that is GT Revival. There's some absolute banter drama coming with this game. I've mocked it before because I think the lead developer shared a video on Twitter of his PA. I think allegedly she was filming herself in one hand driving his Ferrari, possibly over the speed limit on the motorway. And it was like, okay, interesting thing to do. The tweets that got deleted in the end, so, you know, there we go. There's been all sorts of stuff going on with this game, and 2 things now. Firstly, it's going to change name. So the name of it is going to change. If that's a trademark thing, I don't know. And secondly, the publisher's going to change. So at the moment, the publishing deal was with PlayOn. Full disclosure, by the way, PlayOn were the publisher that gave me keys to MotoGP, just so you know. But it's going to change to a new publisher. Who's that going to be? I don't know. GT Revival is from the same team or same developer that did Project Cars, so maybe it's going to go back to EA. Who knows? Don't know if that's a good move or not. And there was also big news that I told you about on the Sim Racing Show. By the way, if you're not subscribed, please now hit that subscribe button because we do this every week. But I'll let you know about the big engine change. Like the whole engine is changing in that game. So it seems to me GT Revival may be in trouble, but you let me know what you think of that in the comments because absolute chaos going in there. Now I want to talk about something interesting, I guess slightly more adjacent to sim racing, but I want to let you know why. Possibly the biggest driving racing game in the world right now, which is Forza Horizon 5 still, is coming with 5 new cars in the latest playlist. And some of these cars are quite interesting. Got the Toyota GR Yaris, the Ford Mustang Dark Horse, Hyundai Ioniq 5N, the Kia EV6 GT, and the Porsche Taycan Cross Turismo Turbo S. You're also going to get a paid DLC, buy a paid DLC. You get DeLoreans from Back to the Future, the Jeep Wrangler from Jurassic Park, like that iconic yellow and green one, I guess, and the Pontiac Firebird Trans Am from Knight Rider. And the reason I find this interesting is because a lot of those cars I would like to drive in sim racing. I mean, the Toyota GR Yaris did come to Gran Turismo, but I find it interesting that the car manufacturers and the licensors are seeing a lot of value in bringing that to Forza Horizon. So it shows that while the player base is there, we in the sim racing world might get less of these cars to drive, but then you can have mod support, like a lot of these cars will come in modding. An interesting thing about GT Revival going back, that's a game that seems to be concentrating on sort of older racing cars, and at the moment that community is well served by mods on like AC and whatnot, so even more competitive market they're going into. Right, let's talk about SimGrid now. This is possibly some of the biggest news from the last week, which is that they're both, I think, completely overhauling their service. They're calling it Grid Pass. I want to get this right. It's not Grid Finder. Grid Finder is another company. Grid Pass, that's their pro subscription. And as part of that, you get access to SimGrid Seasons, which is daily racing on ACC. Now, I did a big video on this where I went through the materials and looks very promising. I do want to emphasize that is a paid for service. You need to pay for it separately, and you will need to log into SimGrid Seasons on your phone or on your browser to basically sign up for the races and get your server code that you'll use to log into on ACC. But the promise of that is very exciting. Daily racing on ACC, and they had some server issues on launch. The whole thing basically crashed. They seem to have rejigged where they're sort of prioritizing their servers, so that's good to see. But SimGrid Seasons, interesting step. I'm going to be following it closely. Coming on to another sort of sim racing adjacent game, which is Test Drive Unlimited. I got some heat from you guys and girls last week. I would like to think I was misinterpreted, but probably I wasn't. Probably I was being a bit stupid. But I think I was trying to say Test Drive Unlimited for me simulates the feeling of buying a car. It simulates that feeling of I want to test drive it. I want to really think about it. I want to compare it with other cars. I want to think about it. I might not even buy it that evening if I've got the credits. I'm going to think about it on the train to work in real life tomorrow. Kind of simulates that feeling, because other games like Forza Horizon 5 just throw cars at you. And I really enjoyed in the Test Drive Unlimited demo that idea that what is my next car going to be? What do I actually want to drive? Now, I had loads of issues with that game. Audio bugs, graphical bugs, getting kicked out of the game, like crashes, wheel not working, every bug under the sun. I'm still going to buy that game with my own money. That's not sponsored. Just want to let you know what I'm thinking of doing my hard-earned cash. Will I pre-order it? It will depend on what the pre-order bonuses are. If the pre-order bonuses are actually to get more cars, I won't pre-order it, because I don't want more cars. I want to start from the bottom and earn the credits. If the pre-order bonus is early access, then I may pre-order it, but I'm also coming from the angle of a YouTuber, just to bear that in mind. So come back to GT Revival. So the reason why they said they're moving away from Unreal Engine was to go to make more suitable for VR. Is this more of a sort of another example of VR being big for sim racing? I think Assetto Corsa Evo is going to be VR day one. You know, the engine, the Madness engine, that was from Project Cars 2 and used in Automobilista 2, which I've been in VR, but my wheel doesn't work. You know, that engine is one that maybe they'll go back to using that, which would be interesting. That would be maybe a retrograde step. I don't know. Another example of Unreal maybe not being the best engine for VR in sim racing. I've just received a Pimax Crystal Lights. I was at the Pimax Crystal Road show in London speaking to them about sim racing. Sim racing is really big for Pimax. I've got an interview with their product lead talking about that. So I'm going to be doing a lot more VR sim racing. So if you've got any questions on that, let me know in the comments. And by the way, if you've enjoyed this, make sure you subscribe. If you want to support me, just go to www.getfasteronline. Check out my masterclass. It's $9.99 if you want to get faster in Gran Turismo specifically. But that's been the Sim Racing Show for this week. Thanks so much for joining, and I will see you next time.